The Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in downtown Bobcaygeon. I'm one of your hosts, Terry, and with me in the hot seat this morning is my good friend, Michael. Introduce
Nice
yourself.
to be here with you, Terry.
Yes, Michael's come a long way. We didn't pay for his gas either. Jim, there's no bill for this.
That's right. I choose to drive all the ways from New Brunswick to be here.
To be in the guest seat. Well, it is
and to be in the guest seat, to be put on the spot.
Well, it's not quite a
but
church
it's okay.
pew, but it is a seat where we're going to talk about spirituality. In our previous podcast, we were talking about the spiritual journey that Michael has engaged in. We began our spiritual journey basically at the same location, or at least some of our foundation's seminal theological work was done at the Church of the Resurrection in the East End of Toronto.
Yeah,
and from there, we formed what seemed to be a very trendy thing at the time, a Christian rock band.
Rock band, yeah.
And we took it to rural Ontario, southern Ontario.
We sure did.
We traveled.
I have fond memories of that. And, you know, when people come together, we're that little band of brothers, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly. And look, we shared so much. We learned so much along the way. Looking back now, I think we could have done things quite.
Hindsight is always
2020.
Don't be hard on yourself. Can you tell me one shining moment where you thought it was all worthwhile because this thing happened?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Honestly,
I think there were like 20 years of traveling.
A lot. I think the most meaningful, I think, part of our journey was, that we did sit around together and we had conversations. We bantered about spirituality. We took something from the scriptures and we sort of, digested it. We gave all of our different convictions about that, and we listened to each other. So we did grow in that way, but I think what stands out for me is when we did prison ministry, we went into prisons and we spoke with the inmates and we sat down with them and we had conversations with them. That was very meaningful. Mm-hmm. And I think something about that was, we
were invited to some of these places because of our affiliation.
Our affiliation with the Church Army, right?
Which is the Anglican version of the Salvation Army.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that was very meaningful for me. Something I remember much more than I do remember other things. I think I like the idea that we visit so many different people. What I love about our itinerary ministry, if you will, we visit so many different communities and met so many people in those different communities expressing their spiritual journey in different ways, and we did, right? Because the
church was the hub of the rural.
It wasn't just Anglican churches. Yep. It was we got introduced to other denominations, other spiritual journeys like Catholic Church up in Barrie. We went to this youth group, Pentecostal, Missionary Alliance, Boy Scout Jamboree. Remember that? I mean, that was a big event, right?
Yeah,
Boy Scout Jamboree.
Not main stage or anything. I think we were just on one of the roadways. We just decided
we weren't main stage.
We were sideshow. Bob.
So I guess it's getting to know people. I mean, what I take away from that, there's got to know some really neat people and become really deep friends, like you and I.
Some of our friendships did not necessarily survive as intense.
Did not. Exactly.
So I don't know why that is necessarily.
Yeah.
For me, we're talking about spiritual journey. So we had this ecumenism, this ecumenical view from Reverend David Whitehouse.
Right.
So we'll drop that name as a reference point in the Anglican Church, who allowed us to see a bigger picture, our connectedness to others.
Yeah, I like that. That's right. So we had a person like David Whitehouse who allowed us to be ecumenical.
And he was our mentor.
And he promoted that, and he was our mentor. And, I saw a deep respect for David.
The things got off the rail after he passed away.
After he passed away, it went off the rail. It did.
And I don't want to blame the subsequent minister for going off the rails. That's something we own and are responsible for. But
that's true.
Our journey did take a twist.
Nothing is wasted. What I can say from looking back now, that our zealotism, in our heart of hearts, we felt we were doing what was the right thing at that time.
Truth as we knew it.
At truth as we knew it, exactly. And so now you look back and you say, well, okay, I mean, I'm looking back and saying, boy, I'm not sure where I'm going with that.
That's okay.
So anyway, I lost my train of thought on that one. But
well, let me go on to your train of thought and see if I can take you somewhere with
sure.
it. There are two issues that come up for me that are very significant to where I'm at now in my journey. This is a sort of a way station, a marker along the way. I don't know where I'm going, but the two issues were represented by songs that we sang. And one was Killing Our Children, which I struggled with all the time because I did not feel strongly that this was not something other than making a social issue out of something that is now what we would call a women's health personal choice.
Yes,
and I still, this is where I'm at now. So I'm looking back and I'm saying, try to sing with conviction and but my heart wasn't there then. It's nowhere even close to that now.
No.
And with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, I'm definitely with the philosophy of Pt2, the nation, government has no business in the bedrooms of the nation.
Yeah.
And that takes us to LGBTQ and 2S+, and all the divergent thinkings of sexuality, and yet we were so strictly stuck in our binary choices of male and female and definitions of sexuality under those labels. Yeah. So those are two big issues for me in that homosexuality came into our awareness subsequent to Reverend David Whitehouse, and I regret much, not all maybe, but much of what transpired and how it was handled by a group of 30-something-year-old zealots.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I was more intimately attached, familiar with Buzz in the sense where, to use that name, because I was a lay leader, right? So I was
up
very
close to you.
I was close to me. Not intimate. It's the wrong word to use.
Yeah,
close to me. So
you were aware of more than most people.
But it was a tough one.
That was part of our journey,
and I struggled with what my conviction and my judgment on that. Right.
Yes,
but I regret now. Now I see it differently. Right.
Yes,
I do.
Now
honestly,
I would let compassion reign and understanding be part of that compassion. And always trying to find the way that's best for people other than myself. It's not about me. I'm not being victimized by this. How can I help people who are feeling that way? And how can I help people who are maybe making not the best choices in life? Yeah. But not judging.
And the song, going back to the song itself and some of the words in the song can come across as make someone feeling judged, or condemned, or blamed.
Well, in our zealotry, we were very judgmental.
Yes,
absolutely. My wife would probably say I'm still more inclined that way than I would like to think. I'd like to think I'm more informed and enlightened,
because
I am reminded to go humbly.
Exactly right. And we do create those neural pathways in our brain of our thinking and of our.
Every once in a while, I hear the needle on the vinyl going.
Oh yeah,
there's the groove.
Yeah, exactly. And there's almost like a default position. You just got to resist it. You say, "Whoa, no, I don't want."
But these were formative years for you and I. In a devout Christian context, thinking, and that's why we talked about the moral compass, the spiritual compass. We were aiming for what we knew with confidence was the truth.
Look, and we're not the only ones in this place of journey. And we met Melissa's good friends in Ottawa. Melissa's gone through her own deconstructing, going through Acquired to Fire stuff and all of that. And that was very damaging, traumatic. That type of evangelicalism.
Do you want to go on to that, or do you want to go into, you use the word deconstructing faith?
Yeah, deconstruct. Let's do that. So I won't go into any personal thing.
We've got about a minute to go on this one, so we can introduce concepts. Where's the deconstructing faith coming from? So the deconstructing
is... it's a journey, and no one can. I would say it's not fair to say, well, these are the stages of there are stages to deconstructing. Where am I on that spectrum of state? Where am I in that deconstructing? I'm in process, right? It's a working process. But
deconstructing
without throwing out the core essence of what I believe. Here's the fine line for me. Some people throw it all together out altogether and just walk away and have no spirituality, if you will. Don't want to even talk about it. I'm not there. For me, I want a spiritual journey. In my journey, I want to have a spiritual experience in my journey.
Rohr's deconstructing allows you to maintain a spiritual.
It allows me to stay true to my core belief without being religious, if you will, or judgmental, or taking a position. It's more. I guess I'm boiling my spirituality down to listening to other voices and find what is true in that and what is good in that and what brings life. So for me, is if you don't bring life, if you're not life-giving, then I don't want anything to do with you. So for me, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's whether it's indigenous belief, whether it's my Christian core belief, I like that to hear the good and what brings me life in those things. So for me, is what brings me life. If it's not bringing me life, and that speaks to my own spiritual decisions or my own personal decisions about what is healthy and what is good.
That's kind of subjective, isn't it?
It's kind of subjective. So if what does bring me life? Yeah. So not just on a spiritual level.
Well, I wonder if your spouse would have something to say what she would believe brings you life and what.
That is true. So I'm
other
still
people around us. We rely
trying
on
to figure that out.
Yeah.
Do I only subscribe to what brings me life? I have personal decisions that I make that don't bring me life, and I wrestle with that every day and say, okay,
in a traditional Christian box, we would say that's an awareness of sin, that you've done something wrong. You've made a transgression. The Spirit of God is correcting you. Is that still your framework of understanding this?
I still see that. There's that still in me. That core belief is still in me, but not in a condemning way, not in a way that's individualistic, but where all of us are responsible.
What if other people around you don't buy into that? Stay tuned for more of this discussion. Right. Mike in the Hot Seat, the Jim and Terry Show with special guest Michael. Take care now. Bye-bye.